And right now, we want to talk about the youth. As you know, Rubbin Minds is the #1 youth program on the entire continent, and it's very important that we bring to you matters that involves the youth. And that is what I want to talk about this campaign called the Youth Day of Service. Now, we want to raise awareness about the Youth Day of Service, its impact, and the role it plays in promoting youth-led sustainable development across Africa. And with me to discuss this is the director, Leap Africa, the executive director, Leap Africa, Kehinde Ayeni. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's just straight into it. So, what is Youth Day of Service?
Well, the Youth Day of Service is an annual campaign that is meant to elevate the spirit of volunteerism. And it's one way that Leap Africa has sought to bring together African youth through a vehicle that we believe can actually elevate their voices when it comes to the awareness of the Sustainable Development Goals, their participation of it, and also in policy and dialogues that really influence how young people see themselves in matters that really concern them and the environment in which they live and thrive in, whether it is for businesses or whether it is for them to thrive as an individual. But, you know, the Youth Day of Service is the organization's idea for how we see the world in which young people thrive. So, but I will start by explaining who Leap Africa is and why we thought about it in the first place. So Leap Africa is a non-profit organization, and our work essentially is to raise and bridge some gaps that we've identified limits youth transitions. As you know, not every young person that is above the age of 18 will go on to tertiary education or would find their place in life easily. And we have found that there are 5 areas in which we want to focus our energy in bridging the youth development gap, and that is in education, employability, entrepreneurship, active citizenship, mental health, and well-being. And for us, we think that it's best to catalyze change agents through several mediums. So for us, the Youth Day of Service is one campaign that we've taken outside of Nigeria. The first year it was done here in Nigeria, but subsequently in the last 4 years, I think this is the 5th year actually, we've gone into African countries and we've been able to mobilize thousands of Africans through different community projects with the goal that we give them opportunity to work within the Sustainable Development Goals. So
in all of this amazing work, I mean, the campaign started in 2020, I believe. It has expanded to several African countries. So in the course of engaging the youths, the volunteers and the people that are in charge and all of that, what has been that major challenge that affects the African youths, or the African youth is always faced with?
They think that they are, we're not mindful. They feel people, stakeholders who are responsible for them are not mindful about them, mindful about their challenges, mindful about their well-being, their state of affairs. They're not mindful about what their contribution could be to society and how they can really build the nation. So when we started the Youth Day of Service, it's with that consciousness at the back of our mind to see how can we excite young people? How can we respond to this big question of where are the young people? How can we engage them and pull their resources together? A young person is agile, is creative, is innovative, is creative, is dynamic, is innovative. But how can we pull all of that together? And what we found common from Nigeria to Malawi to Sudan to any part of Africa is that young people want to do something. They want to be engaged. They want to give their voice, their treasure, their talent, their tools, their resources, whatever it could be, into something that is worthwhile. You know, it's not all about fun and games. It's not so much about money in their pockets alone, but how can they be individuals that make a lot of sense of the situation around them.
So you're walking down the streets of Lagos.
Yes.
You're going to see like bundles of talent. Sometimes you're just there and then somebody walks up to you, a young person, and the person is like, sir, can I rap for you? Or sir, can I do something for you? So you can see that there's an eagerness. But sometimes it looks like, you know, the economic realities of the country is weighing down on the young person, especially the young people of Africa. I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, and you know, we're saying how disadvantaged we feel when we measure ourselves with our counterparts in the Western countries. So how do you think the private sector, the governments, the public sector can collaborate to sort of empower young people, and what is your organization doing about that?
So one big way that the private sector, public sector, and the development sector, because that's where I come from, meet together, is to identify platforms that really resonate with young people. When you identify the platform, then you can actually provide the support that is required. Sometimes the support is not financial. It could just be in infrastructure. It could just be the place of a hub. It could be in anything. It could just even be endorsements. When we started out the Youth Day of Service, the Minister of Youth and Development was at our press conference. It was the perfect leverage that we really needed to say that the minister endorses this. The minister agrees that we should have a campaign that moves beyond a day or a month. By the way, I must say that we decided to do it within the auspices of the United Nations International Youth Day. And that's because you do not just celebrate one day for young people. There has to be more than a day, a milestone that young people are knocking down. And so the private sector bring a lot to the table, the public sector bring a lot to the table, and the social development sector bring a lot to the table. And for us as development partners, we also have to bring in other partners. The Day of Service has about 80 organizations partnering with us as an institution. But then when you take it down to individuals and organizations that receive the support or are already keyed into it, they also leverage communities and organizational institutions at their levels.
So your organization has engaged about 17,780 volunteers across about 703 projects in there.
Absolutely.
That's a very impressive number. How do you think we can triple that number, maybe X times 10 that number? Because imagine if you could do 2 million, 10 million. So
yes.
What do you need? What does the organization need? Not like I have money to give, but what do you guys need?
Yes, you're very right that the money is the perfect place to start. When we started, we had little or no funding, thanks to one of our partners. But consistently, one of our partners, Dow, has given us $100,000 to do this annually. Each year we get that amount of money. But if we can do so much with about 400,000, when you talk about the impact that we've been able to galvanize across the SDGs, then there's more money needed for that. And the money goes into the sub-grant, which is the amount that goes into food drives, planting trees, clean the environment, providing books to schools, and so many other initiatives. So those are the kind of initiatives that come up, and money needs to go into it. Sometimes also there are donations from the project owners. So you and I could start a project, and the money comes from you and I. It's not just from Leap Africa that brings the fund. So there's a lot that is required for this. We're talking about thousands and potentially millions for this kind of project to be sustainable. And when you even distill the kind of projects we've seen or the reach we've had in 40 countries and counting, we want to deepen that. We want our footprint not to be just one project or two in a country, but one that is really sustained. And so we are looking for collaborators, we are looking for financial sponsors for this. And of course, we want infrastructure that can really allow us to move successfully and sustainably within the projects that we have running. But maybe the last thing is also for the government to see what they can do, as they own a huge chunk of the Sustainable Development Goals. If you look at the index, we are far behind in where we should be in Africa. When you look at Nigeria alone, it's devastating. But when you even begin to isolate it from Botswana to all these other countries, it's even more staggering. So there's a lot to be done. Our government needs to also check where are the gaps within the index when you talk about healthcare and education and other things. And then together we can map up a strategy and approach, but already the development goals give us a good platform to do that.
Okay, so now that leads me to my next question, because most often than not, when young people go out there to make impacts in communities, especially underprivileged communities, there's always a culture shock in the sense that you come to a community that there has not been a well built in several years, and you're trying to build a well. And some community leaders or some youths of the community would say, you cannot do this unless you pay this. Yes. Have you ever experienced such?
Oh my goodness, that's a common place for us. And we have found that the best way before we can go into a community is to even sensitize the community heads or leads or whatever they may be. They come in all kinds of names. You must first of all tell them, this is what we want to do, and this is what the benefit is. Because when people don't understand the benefit, then there is higher resistance. When they understand the value and the contributions, then they welcome you with open arms. And it's not even unique to one community, one region or the other. It's across board. So what we have perfected over time is to start our work from the top. Before you go into a community, you've mapped out the need, you know who you need to talk to, and then what you need to deploy, how long you'll be there for, and also increase the ownership quotient by inviting them to be a part of it. If they own a portion of it, the responsibility of the sustainability of it, then you see that they are more willing. Then they know it's for them. And in some places, you might have to pull out, because that's the truth of the matter. When there's a lot of resistance, you may have to pull out one day to go back another day to say, now we are back. We really want to do this for you. This is what is happening. And Nigerians are competitive. When something is working in one place and you say, if you look at your neighbor, your brother, your sister in this community or that local government, they are doing this and that, then they want to be a part of it. So that's also part of how we manage such situations.
And then how do you manage situations of possible corruption where perhaps there's a particular leader in that community that has been benefiting from grants supposedly allocated to that project? You know, so many times we hear stories of a road has been bad for several years, and the reason that road is still bad is because there's a yearly allocation to fix that road. So if you're coming to fix that road, it means that you're sort of shutting out the money coming to an individual's pocket.
Yes. What we try to do is not to put the money in the hands of individuals. So there's a structure behind our grants and sub-granting system where there is a way that we appoint a lead. There is a concept for it. There is a group fund that allows us to see how and track how the money is disbursed. But we also try to mitigate it by doing some kind of training before the actual disbursement happens. We have an integrity course, values and moral leadership course that we offer as part of the training. So you understand that $200, $500, $1,000, $5,000 is not for you. And we've also seen a case where someone spent the money on themselves and came back to say, I actually used the money on myself and I'm going to refund it, and they did refund it. So there is this guilt trip that will happen to you when you know that this money should have gone into this, but we also have set up a way to reduce our risk because the money is not ours. We still have to report to funders what we've done with the money. And a better accountability system is for us to reduce the risk on individuals by making sure it goes into a group pool of funds, and then we actually pay the vendors in some cases directly to reduce the risk as well.
Amazing. So for the young person watching you right now, how can they be part of this great initiative?
Oh, every year we roll out the Youth Day of Service, so we have a portal for that. If you go to www.ydos.org, you'll be able to find projects across Africa, across communities in Nigeria. Of course, Nigeria has the highest number of projects, and you can just tap into that. It's not a day, it's not a month for us, it's an annual campaign, but we typically open the portal at the point, I think June, July, and we continue to do projects, implementation all over the country and also in Africa till about September. We also give awards and recognition till December. So anybody that wants to be a part of it can join us by January of 2025, but of course, resources are available online on our website, www.lipafrica.org.
I'll definitely be signing up. Yeah, so finally, how do you, because this question is very personal to me, because it breaks my heart every single time I see the African youth and how we're not able sometimes to compete. We've seen several industries where we're doing well, entertainment, sports. We've been able to sort of make our mark against all odds. So to the African youth, how do you think we can be able to overcome the economic challenge and all of the challenges that bedevils us constantly and daily to actively compete with our peers in Western countries?
Is to focus on the solution. And we are quite good at that. This is something, just like it's passionate for you or personal to you, it's also personal for me. I think very strongly that we should have a solution mindset. Young people should have solution mindset. When you do that, the way you approach problems are different. When you do that, you complain less and you're trying to see how can we get out of this quagmire that we are in? What is the next step for us? Who do I need to talk to? Who needs to know about this? Who can actually support this? Where has this been done? By the time you ask critical questions, by the time you think about a structure around the problem rather than fixating on the problem itself and outsourcing it to somebody else, like the government, your parents, your family, your friends, your uncles, and all of these people, I mean, the problem will persist. So for young people, really need to look at the green light, to see the opportunity. And I think opportunities look like the light at the end of the tunnel, even when it's very dark, until you get at the end. But you're not going to see it until you advance towards it. So we need to take risks as young people. We need to take a bold step forward as well, and be agile, be innovative, be dynamic. It's the only way.
All right, be agile, be innovative. It is the only way. That's it. That's a wrap. Thank you so much for coming on the program. It was so eye-opening, and please keep up with the incredible work you do.
Thank you.
It's not every single day that you meet young people that are driving change, and I think if we have multiple people like you, and of course your organization, the world and Nigeria will be a better place. Thank you so much for coming on the program. All right.